Hi everybody, I'm Helen from Bellydancers of Australia and I'm here this evening to talk with Amanda Pooley-Brand. Amanda has recently been to the US to take part in Bal Anat, and I'm going to ask a whole heap of questions about that experience. How are you today?
I'm doing really good. It's been a hectic couple of weeks, but I'm glad to be in Australia for a little bit, and excited to tell everyone about what I've been through. So yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. Well, let's start at the very beginning. What is Bal Anat?
So Bal Anat is a show that's put on by the Paul School in America. Not to say it only exists in America, it's been travelled around the world, but it was originally created back in the late 1940s by Jamila Salampur. It is a 90-minute stage show encompassing all different areas of the Arabic region, and a little bit in the same way the Redder troupe had influences from areas. They've taken a very similar approach to bringing in different styles of belly dance. So you've got a cane dance, which shows off everything you can do with a cane, with twirling. You've got Voy, bringing in some of the Balkan feel. You've got pot dancers that show off the more street sort of style, that older, almost ballady sort of thing, where you've got balancing the pot on the head, and everything in between. So you've got Algerian, there's oh my goodness, now I'm trying to remember all the bits off the top of my head. There's tray dancers doing the Turkish tray dances. There's so many different styles. And the whole idea of it was that it was to actually showcase all the different types of dance that were classically grouped under the term of belly dance. As uncomfortable as that term may make people feel, it's kind of the one that it kind of fits under right now. It actually started in the Ren fairs. So in the Bay region, they have a big Ren fair each September, from memory. It ran in September. And all the dancers that were training with Jamila would go and just dance everywhere at the Ren fair, wherever there was space. And the Ren fair owner got upset that the people were basically taking up the pathways and people couldn't get round these dances. And so she pulled them all together into a show so that they could all dance together, but take some of the pressure off the alleyways so that people could actually see the show and not just be inundated with dancers here, there, and all the way down. So that was 50 years ago, or over 50, I think it's 54 years now ago when that first started. And the latest show was in New Mexico, in Albuquerque, and it had how many? There was 57 dancers from right around the world. So I was the only Australian dancer, but there were dancers from Spain and Sweden, of course, right across America and Canada, Chile. I think there might have been one dancer from Brazil and another one from Mexico. So it really was the United Nations of dance coming together for the event.
Sounds amazing. So tell me, how come you're casting this?
So casting is actually, it's a little niche. So as a part of being in the Paul School, we all study using the online system that exists. Once you meet a certain level of technical skill, which is the 200 level, which is sort of the second level, kind of makes sense, right? Once you've gotten through all the courses to that level, you're considered to have a certain level of proficiency, which means that you could learn any of the pieces. They send out a message asking people who have that level who would like to join, and then from there you're cast into particular pieces depending on your strengths. So a lot of dancers, when they first come in, will now come in on the dance that I did, which is Jamzel Shamushe, which is a little bit like the song's a love song. It's how much you love everything. Like, it's a passionate, heartfelt piece. And it's kind of like the Woo Girls version of love. Everything is beautiful. Everything is red and beautiful and rose-colored glasses. And So majority of people who come in brand new will now do that piece, which is where I got to come in, because this was my very first Bal Anat. But you could also be cast into any of the other pieces depending on who else is in your area. So if there's a couple of dancers together, they may get cast into a piece as a group. So that's where I'm like always like, who can I convince to come dance with me? Because then we could be like in a whole piece together. But that said, like the piece I was in had, there was 12 dancers. No, I'm wrong. There was 15 dancers in my piece. And we came from everywhere, which was really nice. So, yeah.
So how did it take you to be involved?
Oh, all right. So this is where it gets interesting, because I was thinking it was 12 months from when we got cast to when the show ran. But what I forgot until someone reminded me just before I left was that actually I've been preparing for this show for 4 years. Because the 2023 show was originally supposed to be held in 2021. No, 2020. The year that time and COVID would like to forget. So I've actually been training to do this piece and be in the show since 2019. So just a little bit longer than what I was thinking. With a little bit of a moment when I realized that.
I can imagine. And yet you remained motivated throughout the whole period of time, so good for you. How do you think that whole experience changed you and your dancing?
I think the whole prepping actually changed me more than the experience. The experience was like the cherry on the top, because there's just something fantastic about preparing, even if it's only for 12 months, and then everyone coming together in the studio, or actually on the stage in our case, on the day before to rehearse. Because that's the thing I should probably tell you, is that actually my preparation for that 12 months was me in my space on my own, and getting it marked off and sending videos to make sure things are being checked. But realistically, none of us danced together until the day before, when we all came into, we were lucky enough to get on the stage rather than having a studio, but usually you're in a studio, and we do dress rehearsals. And that's a magical moment of everyone's power and, and will coming together in that moment. And there were tears. There were literal tears the first rehearsal we did. But before that, I think just having that goal was really good for me, even though it was a lot longer than I was expecting, because it kept me aiming at something. And so it made it really easy to keep showing up on the dance floor in this room every single day, or every day that I could, even if it was just to come in and mark a small section of a piece, because it just kept helping me have something to focus on, just helped, grow step by step. But it's also developed skills that I didn't realize that I was going to ever need. So there was so many things around the actual performance aspect itself that if you're just learning the choreography, you don't think about until you start seeing how everything pieces together in the show. And it's definitely increased like my storytelling ability. It's increased my want to produce a big event like this. And I gotta say, I'd love one day to bring Bal Anat out here, because I'd love everyone out here to see the show in all of its glory as well. But just, it's given me lots of inspiration and lots of ideas. Lots of ideas.
So tell me about the special memory that you take away from this experience.
Oh, that's an easy one. So we had 2 green rooms for the show. We had the green room for people who were in one piece only and didn't have a costume change. And then there was a separate change room for people who were in more than one piece, which was right beside the stage. And ours was a lot further because, we just needed to get dressed before and then turn up on the stage, right? So there was 30 odd of us in this big classroom opposite the hall, opposite the entry for the stage. we had mirrors everywhere, like the big standing mirrors all around the room. People would grab some. Two other ladies and I, Kirsten and Lorraine, we grabbed one of the big one of the big mirrors and put it on 3 chairs so that we could sit on the floor. And we almost became like a little collective brain, because one of us would be like, all right, I'm going to start my makeup. Hey, how do you do that? And so all of a sudden, instead of it just being there's music playing and we're having fun getting ready, it became like a learning experience for trading information while we were going. And it became funny on 2 fronts for me. One of them was one of our male tray dancers, which if you want to see, there's a picture in my APB dance page of me with the 4 male tray dancers. Of course, they had to put on makeup too, because it's stage lighting, everybody washes out. And there was one of them who's a good friend of mine, and he's like, can you help me with my contour? I don't know how to contour my face. And we're like, of course we can do that. And the next thing you know, there's 5 of us sitting on the floor, all helping the makeup get put on just right. And how do you shape here on a male is different to how you shape it on a female, and just that whole learning experience of working on it together. It was just something so special in that moment. And then that carried forward, that because I do the really big up hairdos when I perform, everyone's like, all right, show me how you do this. How do we do hair like that? And so we didn't have that much time to get ready, but there was still time to be able to go, all right, now we take this and then we do this, and then it looks like this. And like, they're just moments you couldn't manufacture. It had to just come out at the moment that was there. But it's just so special. And there's a few people who captured photos along the way, which thankfully I got copies of, so I can look back and
Sounds amazing. What's next?
Well, there's a lot happening. So directly next,
I follow your social media. There's a lot happening.
Some of it hasn't even hit the social media yet. So here's it. We're allowed to give people the goss, aren't we? This can happen.
Sure. Yeah.
So, not goss, but of course, next thing up for me is the Australian Belly Dance Convention. I'm part of the powers that are making this happen behind the scenes, but I'm also performing on both the Friday night show, which is actually my brainchild, the story that you'll see come out. And then on the Saturday night, the Sal and Paul Collective is making a comeback. We haven't performed as a group since before COVID. So it's kind of nice to be getting back in the room and rehearsing with those ladies. And we're looking forward to bringing something out for that. And then straight off the back of the convention, the following weekend, I'm heading to Southwest Rocks in New South Wales to put on my Twisties workshop for the weekend up there, which if you haven't got tickets for either of these events, please go and buy them because you need to go. And actually that night, I'm going to be pulling out a fusion performance at Southwest Rocks rather than my usual pretty Oriental style. So that's something that if you've ever wanted to see me do fusion, you need to come to the Southwest Rocks Weekender. And then after that, I'm coming up to Glen Innes. I'm looking forward to that. Yes, it's going to be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to what we're going to get to do that weekend. So, and then I think it's like Christmas and I might fall down. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see.
Something like that.
There's always time.
Well, I will, of course, put links to all of those events in the comments so that everybody can follow them. And highly recommend that everybody get along to 1, 2, or all 3 of them, preferably all 3. I'm going to be at all 3, so I don't see why you shouldn't be. You're going to be at all 3, so why shouldn't everybody else?
Exactly.
Yeah. Fine. Cool. Well, thank you very much for your time, Amanda.
Any
And thank you for sharing the news, coming to this cleanliness. And we'll see you soon.
My pleasure. See you soon.